Speaking of a position which is notoriously not deep and probably will be the shortest to discuss as we wrap up our NFL fantasy chat. Tight ends, I've done the write-up. There's one god tier, and that's Travis Kelce, and it's him and him alone. He had 101 more PPR points than tight end 2 last year.
He's not a tight end. He's a wide receiver.
TJ Hawkinson. He is God, and that is who he is. However, you'll have to pay God-like prices. If you're happy to use a first-round pick on a tight end, that's what you'll have to do.
Where did he finish overall last year?
That's a good question. Can you chase that up?
Yeah.
He would have been, I want to say, top 20 overall, but 100 more points as a tight end. If you've got a snake draft non-keeper league and you use the first overall pick on Travis Kelce, I wouldn't look at you funny. I would. I wouldn't look at you funny. That gives you, if you go off last year, you've got a 100-point advantage on the next guy. There's no other position where you can say that.
Yep.
I wouldn't take him first, but I wouldn't look at you funny. He's projected as a mid-first rounder. If you get him late first round or second round, that's a steal. That's set it and forget it, and don't worry about it.
The risk always with the tight ends is you only need one of them, whereas you need a lot more running backs and wide receivers. Correct. Who are you missing out on?
And in terms of overall strategy, yeah.
But
perhaps.
But he's if you could label him as a wide receiver, then you'd be getting a good return on investment there.
He finished eighth.
That's crazy. I was thinking.
Sure,
I wanted to say top 10. I was like, no, he wouldn't have been top 10.
Well, that's why he's gone in the first round, is because he was eighth overall.
Dude, that's even more. Like he's eighth as a tight end. Where overall? Where was Hawkinson? I can see him 29.
Yep,
29 was Hawkinson. Mm-hmm. That's it's elite levels. Next tier I've said is elite. Sorry, that's God levels. The elite guys.
Sorry, Kelce dropped a little bit on PPR.
To 12.
Yeah. Okay. But still, there or thereabouts.
Well, that's his range, though. 8 to 12. That's his range.
Every year.
That's perfect.
Set and forget. TJ Hawkinson, 914 yards last year, 6 touchdowns. He was tight end 2. Could definitely get 1,000 yards. If you don't want to, use your first round pick on Travis Kelce, but you want to get something good in, say, third round, Hawkinson's a way to go.
I think all 3 of these guys are going third round, aren't they?
Mark Andrews last year was tight end 4. Mm-hmm. He actually had a down year. So 2 years ago, it was him and Kels, same sort of level. I think he has a better year this year, and I think
Lamar was hurt last year.
Lamar was hurt. No reason why he can't catch 10 touchdown passes this year. Mm-hmm. George Kittle, you mentioned before, probably the best blocking tight end in fantasy in the NFL. However, that doesn't translate to fantasy football, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. You're cautious of George Kittle this year.
Yeah, just because if that team's healthy, they have so many mouths to feed. That's the issue. So, I think he's still going to be viable, but I think you're then worried, if you're picking him in the third round, are you really getting the return, which is probably no.
I think third round's maybe a little too early. If you can get him 4th or 5th, I think play on. You do have to remember that back end of last year, he caught the second most touchdowns out of any tight ends last year. Is on talent wise a top 2 tight end.
Oh yeah, he's an elite talent. There's no doubt about that.
But just fantasy wise, a little bit of caution. Alluded to Darren Waller earlier. Mm-hmm. Hurt last year. Crazy talent. New team. Not a great wide receiving group. I like Darren Waller this year.
Yeah, I think he's going somewhere like round 5, 6 as well, which is just a nice kind of spot for him too. And like you said, there's no wide receivers at the Giants, and all reports are it's been Jones and the Waller show at training camp, to the point they've told Jones to stop throwing it to him and you've got to throw it to someone else, because that's all he's doing. So I think come season time, he could be getting 10 targets a game kind of thing. That's the game plan. Can he make it if he's getting 10 targets a game? Can he last the full 17 games will be the question. Haven't been banged up the last few years, but can't doubt the talent.
What about Kyle Pitts, the highest drafted tight end ever? Just hasn't lived up to the expectation. Quarterback play plays into it.
His first year was all right.
And also hurt last year.
Yeah, it was hurt a bit last year. I think that the team dynamic changed completely last year, and I don't think it's going to change too much this year. They're run first all day, every day. They might even have 3 running backs on the field at one time. That's how much running they're going to do.
Wishbone. Reasonable options. You're not reaching for any of these guys by any means, but you can have them starting week in, week out. Dallas got it. Only 3 touchdowns. Hurts rushing for so many at the goal line, but hurts him.
I think Dallas missed a fair few games last year as
also
well.
missed a few. Frymouth, not as good as his year before, but and never. He's not one to get you 25 points, but he's quite consistent.
I'm big time fading Frymouth at the moment because they drafted Washington. So he's a big 6'7" tight end who will play a lot because he blocks the shit out of everyone.
And goal line as well.
Yeah, so I think I said it before. I think that's the offensive mode they're going to go. They're going to go heavy stack line with 2 tight ends with the 2 wide receivers. So I feel like that's going to eat into Pat's workload a little bit.
Tyler Higbee, I think his ADP is low. What's Higbee's just even as a tight end? He is tight end
12.
Did he miss the back end of the year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit unders on him. He caught 72 balls and missed a few games last year.
Yeah, but you also got to remember Cooper Kupp missed a lot of games and he was their number 1 target. So I think he probably will catch similar sort of numbers. And that team, again, heavily dependent on who plays quarterback for them. So, yeah, I'll take it from there.
Yeah, doesn't seem to get much red zone action with only 3 touchdowns last
And
year.
that's that's the problem with this position in general. Guys that aren't named Kels or Kittle.
Yeah.
Evan Engram, he caught a lot of balls last year. He was tight end 5 overall.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all these reasonable options, I think I like him the best out of all those guys.
And in that offense as well, the Jags, I think, are primed for a big year.
Into a group that I've named sleepers, keepers, and rookies. We spoke about Dulcich before.
Yeah.
Troutman, do you think will be?
He's one.
Will be the tight end 1. Yeah. So we're looking.
He blocks and he'll get a lot of game time. But Denver's been playing a heavy 2 tight end set. And as I said before, with the injuries, I think I was fading Dulcich, but I now kind of feel like he's probably worth picking in the back end of the draft because he's. Definitely he was really good. I think he played 6 games last year, and in those 6, he was like tight end 1 for a lot of them because he was catching a lot of balls because we had no other options. And it looks like a similar thing this year. So I think in the back end of the draft, he's a solid pick there.
What about Cole Kmet? He caught 7 touchdowns last year. Not a good wide receiver core. Obviously, it's not the same talent as Darren Waller, but maybe a similar situation in that.
He got paid as well recently too.
Yeah.
I just don't know about that team. Again, it's. I think they're going to be very good on the ground. I just don't know if they're going to have the quality and volume you want in the passing game for a tight end. Like, is DJ Moore going to soak up all those touchdowns and those volume so he doesn't get too much?
Into the rookies, Dalton Kincaid was the only first rounder. The Bills already had a pretty good tight end in Dawson Knox. He caught 189 yards last year. Where do we see Kincaid? Sorry, I fucked up the stat there. 890 yards, 8 touchdowns was Kincaid's numbers for Utah last year.
Yes.
Dawson Knox
Knox was hurt a lot last
year. Pretty good when he's healthy.
Yeah.
Where do we see Kincaid?
By all accounts, they're going to play him in the slot.
Yeah.
So it's Davison, Diggs, and then Kincaid. They're the options with McKenzie now in Indianapolis, the Colts.
Well, Kincaid's got a higher draft position than Knox does, so
what's his ADP as a tight end total?
Tight end total, 146.
That's total, and then what's that as tight ends?
That's like tight end 16. Sorry,
16.
No, sorry,
Yeah.
15.
That's like round 15 at the moment.
So late round 5.
I think that's in that Bills offense with the way they plan to use him. I think could be a good shout there.
These are also late round and maybe keeper league kind of guys. Sam Laporta, he's going to start for Detroit.
These are kind of the perfect second tight ends. If you didn't get an elite dude, you've picked one of the middle pack guys, and you're worried about his potential. Yeah, pick one of the rookies. Like Laporta, or by all accounts, is going to replace Hawkinson there at the Lions, and he's essentially tight end number 1. He's been rested with the start, like with all the other starters, and I expect him to get a lot of ball because with no Williams for 6 games and Brown's their only option, but he's going to get plenty of balls his way.
Similar, but not quite the same extent with Michael Mayer at Las Vegas. Had the most catches in Notre Dame history.
Yeah, Not a lot of great reports there for Michael Meyer out of Raiders land, but I think that's more a product of where the Raiders are at the moment. I don't think he's going to get a lot of options.
Packers use a second rounder on Luke Musgrave. That's beware because they took a tight end with a third round in Tucker Craft as well, and we're not sure of that offense. Yeah. Luke Schoenmaker, I think, is interesting.
Well, on Musgrave, they have now. He's the tight end number one.
He will be. Yeah, he will be tight end one.
So they've said that.
Don't get me wrong.
But again, that offense, whether he'll get the volume or not, I don't know.
I think Schoenmaker's maybe more interesting. That for now, he's number 2 on their depth chart, but we saw the season 2 years ago that Dalton Schultz had, who's now at Houston. I think Schoenmaker, if you want to have a late round fly, might be worthwhile.
Well, the dude that's in one, Ferguson, as well, has had an excellent camp, and by all accounts, again, another great kind of smoky there that you could be targeting because I think he's got a lot of good value.
Anyone there that I haven't mentioned that you like?
Njoku for Cleveland would be good. The young fella at Tennessee, there's lots of good raps there. They got to throw someone over there at the moment.
It's Chig Okonkwo, isn't it?
With Burks injured for the first couple of games. And then Ivan Smith, if he can beat his talent just because he's in Cincinnati, he's probably the other one.
What injury? So Irv Smith was a Minnesota guy. Can you chase up? He's coming off some nasty injuries. I feel like an Achilles rupture, but I can't.
Yeah, he had a nasty one.
He had a season ender
the year before, and then he came back and they couldn't really get going, the Vikings, and that's why they traded him away. Well, they traded for TJ and took his role. But now with Hayden Hurst at the Panthers, Cincinnati had a role for him. He still has talent, like he's a talented guy. It's just whether he can realize that in the Bengals offense.
What's he had? This is cool. I've never seen this before. Yeah. High ankle sprain.
Yep.
That was last year.
And a meniscus the year before.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's his 2 big ones. Got the body chart, mate. How good's that?
Yeah. Chance of injury, 50% chance of injury in 2020.
That is the injury risk. So high injury risk, but in terms of,
it's just the offense.
In terms of ceilings, if he stays healthy, good offense.
Yep.
Who knows for Irv Smith?
Because Hayden Hurst was serviceable there at Bengals for a couple of games, and Smith's got more talent as a tight end than Hurst. But I think it'll depend on what kind of volume he gets there.